Hi, welcome back to Layton's Hollow. Today I thought I'd take you guys along. I'm going to show you how I'm going to string this greenhouse to help support these tomato plants. Now I haven't had time to get in here and it's been extremely hot. We've been in kind of a heat wave for the last few days. And the tomato plants just took off like crazy. So now I got to put some strings around and I thought I'd take you guys along and show you how I'm actually going to do it. These tomato plants, they all need to be pruned and hung up because they're actually all starting to fall over. Now these strings that I have here are from my hay bales that I use. So what I'm actually doing, because I don't have a way to string two down along the rows here to support all the tomatoes. So what I actually have to do is I actually have to run a string every couple of feet to support the tomatoes that are in the planter box there. Because they're actually starting to fall over. I just kind of wanted to show you guys that you don't have to go out and buy all these fancy strings and all of this stuff that you can buy for your greenhouse to help support your plants. You can use any string that you like. It all works. That's my cucumbers up on the strings there. So basically, I'm doing the same thing with my tomato plants right now. Now, there's two tomato plants running down. One on each side is what I should say, not two. But there's two tomato plants in this bed, side by side. But because they're determinate, you always end up with like 2 or 3 main stalks sometimes. So I got to get in here, try to make sure I get the main stalk hung up. And if I need to, I can always come back and put more strings in if I need to hang up the shoots that's coming off them. I don't mind 3 main stalks coming up on these San Martinos, like 1, 2, and maybe 3, or even 4 at the most. But if you leave them alone, you're going to end up with, 10 different stalks coming up, and that's just too much. Because we're not here to try to grow the greens and the leaves. We want these plants to produce tomatoes. Now, I don't know if this is how San Martinos grow or what, because I've never grown them before. Now, I like doing things this way. I mean, you can go out and you can buy all the fancy cables and all this type of stuff to do all of this, which is not a bad thing. But I like doing it so I'm showing people, especially newbies, that you don't have to go out and spend a fortune on little simple things that you can do very cheaply. Because I notice a lot of YouTube channels, they always go with the most expensive way to do things. Well, that's not how I run my homestead. I like to be able to grow plants, figure out ways to do it which is the most efficient and works and doesn't cost a fortune to do. Because I know when you're new to gardening and homesteading, it can become very overwhelming with the cost. If you follow all of these people saying, oh, no, you got to do it this way, this is the best way, this is the most convenient way, and, well, a lot of it is. But my problem when I watch a lot of these people giving advice, they never explain that there is an alternative way to do it so that you don't have to spend a lot of money when you're first starting homesteading or gardening. Because sometimes I think it can be a little overwhelming to people when they first start gardening, especially if they're having problems getting their plants to grow properly or anything like that, and they just spent, $100 on some string that the garden shop or the greenhouse where you bought your things from, telling you, oh, this is what you need, you have to do it this way, this is the only thing that works, and you got to spend all this money. Well, that's not true. That's not true at all. You don't have to do that. Because they say, oh, you do it and you do it once and then it's there forever. Yeah, well, this will be here till whenever I take it down. The only reason it's not here this year is, like I said, this was just a pepper bed for growing peppers. bell peppers, red peppers, jalapeno peppers, cayenne peppers in here for the last 2 years. But now I'm growing tomatoes in here, and I'll probably grow tomatoes in here next year. That's why I'm putting these strings up, and they'll be fine. It'll work absolutely perfect. And you know how much it cost me? $0. Because I reused from my hay for my horses. And that's what I love about being able to do that, is reusing things. I think that's kind of important. Now, I'm not a climate change believing person, I should say. Climate changes. It always has changed, and it always will change, whether we have anything to do with it or not. My opinion is that we're on Earth, and we're supposed to be the most intelligent species, which sometimes I really have, I don't know if I believe that or not. But I think we should be stewards of the Earth. I think we should take care of Mother Earth to the best of our ability. But as for what these governments are telling us that they need to do, and you need to do this, you need to do that, I don't believe any of that. I think they're nothing but a bunch of crooks. Now, once my tomato plants start producing more fruit and starting to ripen a little, I will take a lot more of the leaves off so that the sun and everything can get through here a little better. Now, these grew up really fast, or I should say they didn't grow up, but these tomato plants shot up in about 3 days. They grew about to 1.5 feet, I would say, in about 3 days. We had some pretty hot weather, and I used rainwater to water them. And I gave them lots of water, and they grew like really, really fast. Now, when I tie these strings to the plants, I don't tie them tight. I make sure that there's at least plenty of room for the stalk of the plant to get bigger without being cut off by the string that's wrapped around them. It's no different than the plastic clips that you can buy for this, but I don't see any point in wasting money on clips when you don't need them. That's much healthier for a tomato plant, is if the air can get through it. It stops the mold and mildew from forming on the leaves. It keeps the leaves a lot healthier. Keeps the blight away too. Now there's quite a few tomatoes on this plant already, which I'm actually very surprised, because it's only been about a week that I actually let the flowers actually stay on the plant, not even a week. So yeah, I'll get this all finished, and I'll shoot the last part of the video once it's all done, so you guys can see what it actually looks like when it's done. I didn't see any point in going out and spending all the money on to buy the string. The only advantage of that type of string is if you run it a long distance, it doesn't stretch. But I'm not doing that. I'm hanging it straight up and down, so it should be fine. And I think for anybody who's starting out homesteading, don't let other people convince you that you need to spend all this money in order to be able to grow food. You can grow food pretty cheaply. This morning, when I came in, I noticed that my pepper plants on this side was completely buried from tomato plants. Those were tomato plants that we had in there last year. Some of the tomatoes fell on the ground, and the seeds got in the ground, and they sprouted up like crazy this year. So we pulled out, well, I don't know how many, probably 50, and we planted another 20 or 30 outside, just randomly around, not even gardens. And the rest we just threw in a compost pile. We had so many. Yeah, just finished. Got all the tomato plants, all the San Martino tomatoes all hung. I got the bottoms all trimmed, so we're all good to go now. Here, I'll zoom in a little bit so you guys can see a little bit better on how all the strings actually work. So that's all the strings up there. Yeah, and this is all the tomato plants. They're all hung now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the camera and show you underneath and show you how I actually trimmed all of these guys. So yeah, this is the tomato plants underneath. See, there's no leaves underneath hardly at all. I trim them all down so that they can get some hair flow in there and less chance of getting any mold or fungus or anything growing on the tomato plants. And it makes it a lot easier to water them. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. It was just a little video on hanging my tomato plants to show people how you can actually do it with very little cost. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you got something out of it. Maybe consider subscribing. Smash that like button. Leave a comment and let me know where you're watching from. And thanks for watching.